Parsha 101, Haftarah 101, and this week's Torah portion is the Parsha of Terumah, and it's about the building of the Mishkan, the tabernacle, the sanctuary in the desert, and it goes through the different vessels, the way they were designed, etc. And the parallel for that in the Haftarah is that it speaks about the building of the first Beis Hamikdash by King Solomon. So from prophets, it's taken from the book of Kings 1, and it goes through some of the details about what went into the building. So for example, they were, at that time, so King Solomon levied a tax for, got to fund all this, and there was peace between him and the king of Tyre, so he would send men up to Lebanon that they would go to, I think mainly wood, that they would get their supplies, and it'd be 10,000 people went at a time in 1 month shift, so altogether it was 30,000 people that went, and they went for 1 month at a time, and then it's talking about the stones that they would get from the quarries, and you'd have 70,000 people would carry them, and there'd be 80,000 people getting it from the quarries, and this whole, just all the detail and everything that went into it. And then it goes through also describing the dimensions of the Beis Hamikdash, of the temple that King Solomon built, and the main buildings and the outer buildings. It just goes through all the different dimensions of it. And this all occurred in the 480th year after they left Egypt, and that's the 4th year of King Solomon's reign. So part of the parallel between these two is that we know the Beis Hamikdash, this is the home for God in the world, and that's what the Beis Hamikdash was going to be. Of course, the whole world is the home for God, but a very specific location it would be more felt. God's presence would be more felt than everywhere else. So God says by the building of the Mishkan, tell them to build a sanctuary in the desert, and I'm going to dwell amongst them, which it's a plural for a singular word. There's only one sanctuary, and to dwell amongst them. So commentaries say because God's going to dwell within all of us, and we see that again here that we have the Beis Hamikdash. God wants to dwell with us. He wants a home here in this world, the home that we made for him. And something interesting about the Beis Hamikdash is that there were windows in the Beis Hamikdash, but the way they were designed is that they were wider on the outside and narrower on the inside, which seems to be a little bit opposite because you should be taking light in and you want to make it wider on the inside so that more light is flooding in. But the idea of the Beis Hamikdash that it's sending the light outward. So it's not just that we're building a home for God, but it's a home of light that spreads light out onto the world. And then the end of it, after it goes through all the description, God says to King Solomon, this house that you're building for me, you're going to follow my statutes, you're going to observe my ways and follow my ways, etc. And as I promised your father, King David, I will dwell amongst you and I will not forsake my people. And all of this is also kind of a hope and a prayer and a reference to future times when, even though in the Mishkan, in the sanctuary, and in the Beis Hamikdash, it says that there were no hammers or axe or tools of any iron were not used because these are, there's negative connotations to them, and the weapons of war, iron was used for war. But in Messianic times, this negative connotation of war is not going to be associated with iron anymore because it will be peace. So we can use it then for the building of the Beis Hamikdash. And that is what we hope and pray for the coming of Mashiach now.